हाँ सर वहीं पे। हाँ गुड इवनिंग बाजी।
गुड इवनिंग
राघवेंद्र जी गुड इवनिंग, राजीव जी गुड इवनिंग। मैं अंदर बैठूं, कहाँ बैठूं? मुझे तो याद वो व्हाट्सएप अंदर ही है तो साइलेंट कर देना।
गुड इवनिंग सब्बरवाल जी, गुड इवनिंग बाबा जी।
गुड इवनिंग राजीव जी।
सर
आपको जो ब्रिज सबरवाल सीपीआर राघवेंद्र प्रसाद नरेंद्र वाधवा राजीव गुप्ता मनसुखा जी को बोलो चालू करें। अपना आ गया उसमें सर तो वो भी आ जाएंगे, थोड़ा डिले होता है ना।
कैसे हैं आशीष जी?
ऑल गुड सर, हाउ आर यू?
ऑल गुड सर।
अब बड़े टाइम के बाद आपको मिल लेंगे ये फ्राइडे को सर।
हाँ मिलते हैं ना सर।
और बताइए।
ऑल वेल सर। नीरव
बट गुड थिंग ये मतलब साथ में हो गया तो काफी अच्छा रहा, काफी मेंबर्स लोग के लिए अच्छा रहा।
नहीं अच्छा आगे करेंगे, जॉइंटली करेंगे, विल डू
100%।
issues are common, everything is common, why not?
The questions are common, the answers are common.
Yeah.
Both the things. Then the affected parties are also common only, sir.
कैसे हैं कमलेश भाई? गुड इवनिंग।
Good evening, sir. How are you?
All well.
Good evening.
अरे प्रसाद, this is
Good
asking
evening.
for password on the
Good evening, sir.
desktop. मोबाइल से डायरेक्टली जा रहा है बट डेस्कटॉप पे पासवर्ड पूछ रहा है।
ऋषांत, अनिल सर एक मिनट, मैं वेबिनार स्टार्ट कर रहा हूँ। अनिशा, अनिल सर से बात करो। सर, नीरव सर, आपका वो ऋषांत जी से पूछे कि उनका पासवर्ड पूछ रहा है तो वेदर ऋषांत विल गिव द पासवर्ड सर।
Who निशांत?
आई थिंक वाधवा सर, आपका नीरव सर आपको पासवर्ड पूछ रहा है।
प्रसाद, मेरा आवाज आ रहा है?
नीरव सर आपको पासवर्ड पूछ रहा था क्या?
Yes sir. Yes sir, your voice is clear. हाँ.
Okay, thank you.
Nero sir, what you are requesting?
Yeah, it was, you see, on my mobile I clicked on the link, but when I'm trying to do on my laptop, it is asking meeting passcode.
Passcode.
So you know what will happen if some phone comes on my mobile, then I will get
disturbed, no? Yeah. तो उसका separate link
It's
होगा।
YouTube पे
Yeah,
कितने लोग आ गए? It's 123456. The passcode for the meeting.
1 2 3 4 5 6. Okay.
ओके ठीक है, अभी देखिए। ओके
Hello.
Sir, should we go with the flow? I think Kamlesha sir, Nero sir, should I explain the flow, Wadhwa sir, or you are taking care?
आप फ्लो एक्सप्लेन कर दीजिए जी ताकि सबको क्लैरिटी हो जाए.
Yeah, Nero sir, you will start and you will invite Kamlesha sir for giving his short 1 minute welcome. Then you will request Mr. Wadhwa sir to give his opening remarks for 1 minute. Then you will request Mr. Kothari sir to give his address. Then the team will be open for presentation by Huzefa. And then it will be followed by question and answer. The questions will be posted, already shared to you by email and also shared to all the NSC team. Huzefa ko diya maine, email kiya hai. So all that flow will continue. In addition to that, I will be posting the question on Zoom. In addition to what I will be
So
fine.
wherever
I think Kamlesh
some missing is there, so Virender will step in and he'll ask the additional question.
Yeah, I don't have the list of questions which you have shared, so that I can see if anything has been missed out. We raise more important questions first.
WhatsApp immediately. I'll do WhatsApp immediately, Virendra sir. Then you can go with that. So the flow is like this. So I'm exiting. I think as per normal procedure, Nirav sir will take the lead in question answers. Our Ashish sir and Vijay Singhania sir, whoever are there in the Zoom, can even directly pose questions during the question answer session. So I'm just taking leave of the team. Nirav sir, handing over to you.
Huzefa ji is there. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, sir.
Kamlesh bhai, you are starting, right?
Yeah, I will start.
Okay. So do I need
Whenever
to
you say, I will start. Whenever you say, I will start.
Prasad, do I need to start or Kamlesh bhai will start directly?
I think Prasad will left.
Should I start?
Yeah. Please go ahead.
Yeah. Good evening to esteemed panelists and dear friends from NME and CPAI. We have a record number of webinar on segregation of client collateral. This itself shows the importance of the regulation. We have attempted our best to fulfill the requirement. However, relief was that it was under no penalty zone. Frankly, still there are few issues that need to be streamlined for smooth and stress-free implementation. Still, response from the clearing corporation to the query of the member is slow. Another important aspect is the deadline time of 6 p.m. to upload EOD margin, for which we need to complete allocation by 4:30 p.m. whereas the files are not available till 4:30 p.m. So the realistic timeline should be revised to 11 a.m. next day, or allow members to fund the difference between EOD and EOD margin requirements. I am sure that the members may have more to say, and we have expert panel to answer the queries. I would like to request regulator to grant 1 month's extension from the penalty. With the big thank you to all, I hand over the proceedings to our moderator for the evening, Mr. Nirav Gandhi.
Thank you, Kamlesh bhai. You also have Narendra Wadhwaji is the president of CPI. Wadhwaji, please, your opening comments.
Yeah, thank you, Nirav. Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Vikram Kothari sir. I think he has joined. Mr. Huzefa and NCL team for attending our joint program for the first time. And me and CPI are doing this joint program on segregation of clients collateral and allocation. We did 4 programs last time also in the month of May with the participation of more than 500 participants. I hope many of the queries of the members are going to be resolved with today's event. I'll go back to the background. SEBI introduced segregation and allocation circular dated 20th July 2021. It began with 1st October 21 and the penalty on 16th December 2021. This was on segregation. So after this, we started with the allocation, which started on May 22nd, and going forward from 1st August, EOD shortage will attract penalty initially, and after 6 months, it is going to be intraday shortage from 1st February. I will not take much of the time. I hope members of CPI and me and your common members will make use of this seminar. Handing over to you, Niravji. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Vadwaji. We have the NCL team, Mr. Vikram Kothari and Josefa and others. Vikramji would like to say a few words. Vikramji.
I think he'll join after 5 minutes.
Okay, fine. So then let's start our session. Thank you, Josefa, for coming on the forum and continue to have so many questions still after so many sessions. So there are one basic thing. Let's start with the basics. So many questions have come. I'm just giving an example. Josefa, am I audible and can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Hope I am also audible.
Yeah, yes, you're audible. So there's one simple example. My margin is 0. My money lying with the exchange is 50 rupees and my prop is 100. So in the allocation file, I believe we have to put 50 rupees allocated to the client and 100 to the prop, right? Is that correct?
Yeah. So if the margin requirement is 50, you are saying, right?
No, margin is 0. Margin today is not traded. Margin requirement is 0. But the cash lying with the CC is 50 rupees, which I'll allocate to the client because it's the actual cash of the client, which I place with the CC. And 100 is the prop money. So 150 is the total capital. So I allocate accordingly. Right? Now, second question everyone is asking, the margin is 50 rupees. There is no cash collateral. The 100% non-cash is there, which is repledged. And the prop 100 rupees cash is there. So in the file for allocation, whatever during the day, 8 a.m. in the morning or evening and all, do I have to allocate?
No, you don't have to allocate.
No. You leave it blank, right?
Yes.
Okay. So
and you don't have to do any allocation for that client.
So, okay. Now, what happens if, so I believe the prop will get limit of 50 and the client will also get support of 50 for that, right?
Yes.
Now, is there a case where if I actually allocate, though I don't need to allocate, if I allocate 50 rupees from my prop to the client because the margin requirement was 50, do I now get to use only 50 for the prop or still I get 100 rupees?
No, if you allocate, then so if you allocate 50 rupees to the client, then balance 50 remains with the prop, then for 50 prop, you will get the benefit.
Okay, so it makes sense not to allocate as far as the prop is supporting component for the replaced shares of the client. Okay. Next question was, the margin is 50 rupees, the cash collateral of the client is 30 and prop has 100 rupees. So do I need to allocate another 20 or leave it blank? Or just allocate 30, sorry.
Sorry, so maybe because
the margin is 50 rupees. The client's cash collateral is 30, which is placed with the CC. And the prop money is 100. So in the allocation file, do I have to add another 20 to make it 50 or leave it 30 only? So and prop will take care of the rest.
The prop will take care of rest, but you will have a short allocation, which is definitely a genuine short allocation because the client has not given you full 50 rupees. That is what our understanding is, right? That is what the question is, right? There is only cash collateral of the client. There is no non-cash.
There is no non-cash.
There is a genuine non-short collection, right? Of margins.
Non-cash is non-cash is lying with the broker because it cannot be repledged to you.
So then for non-cash which is lying with the broker, the member will have to allocate from their prop collateral, which is not repledged to CC.
So as far as a cash component, cash collateral of the client is lesser than the margin, the difference has to be bridged from prop by allocating it.
Yes.
Right.
So any
non-cash collateral, non-cash I have.
To the extent of non-cash which is not repledged to CC, or which are held in unapproved securities which cannot be replaced to CC,
Right.
or securities where the members are not getting benefit because of the market-wide or member-wise limit getting breached. In all this scenario, the members will have to allocate equivalent amount from the prop.
Okay, got it. So if there is no cash and there's a margin, I don't need to allocate. But if there is cash, I need to allocate money. That's it, right?
Yes, sir.
So in the earlier example, there was a margin obligation on 50 and everything was non-cash, which was lying with the broker. There's no repledge here.
Yeah, so then you have to allocate.
Still the prop will take care. Then you have to allocate.
Yeah.
Only if the shares are repledged, then you don't need to allocate.
If the shares are repledged and you are getting the limit on that.
Right. Yeah. Got it. So I believe everyone is clear. For the sake of repetition, whoever, please correct me if I am wrong in understanding. If there's no margin obligation, there is a cash lying with the CC, which we have said is actually belonging to the client. So you in your file, you have to allocate 50 rupees because that money is lying with the CC and the owner of that money is a client. And of course, your prop is 100. Now, second example, which I stated is the client's margin is 50 rupees and the cash collateral was 0. And the shares are also repledged, which are accepted by the CC, and prop money is 100. So there is no need to allocate because the repledge value of the shares are equivalent to the margin amount, 50 rupees. There's no need to allocate. Third example was the margin continues to remain 50. The cash collateral is 30 and there is no repledge of 20 rupees. 20 rupees is some shares which are lying with you, which you could not repledge to the CC. So out of your 100 prop, you will have to allocate 20 to the client to make it 50. And the fourth one is continuing this. If there's a margin obligation of 50, there is no repledge and the prop is 100, then you need to allocate 50 rupees to the client, right, Joseva?
Yes, if you have not got any securities in the CC.
Yeah, if I do not have any non-cash with the CC, I need to allocate out of my prop. If I have repledged to the extent of my margin, there is no need to allocate the cash component.
Yes.
Prop will take care of it. So I believe that is so. I shall next take the next questions. There are a common question is if in allocation file I did not have in one segment enough repledge, but I got repledge in another segment. So you will take care of that surplus here and deficit here and surplus there while deciding the penalty, right? Yeah.
So for EOD allocation, it has to be in the respective specific segment. The deficit part of it is permitted as per the framework for any intraday allocations and intraday penalty when we start. But for EOD, as of now, it is that it has to be in the specific segment.
So if my cash is lying in cash segment and I have a requirement, the client trades in the FNO segment. On that
then you have to reduce from cash and allocate in FNO.
But when it is only after market as I'll come to know, or maybe during the market, but because of thousands.
But anyway, the requirement as of now is for EOD, so we'll be checking only for EOD. And anyway, subsequently, when we start doing intraday, if that cash is allocated to the same client in cash market and it trades in FNO and at the peak snapshot, we will check across the segments. So in intraday, definitely across segments will
that
work.
Is after 9 months that penalty will strike.
When February
right
starts.
Now for end of day. So I have time after say 3:34 to whatever your current timelines.
So current time we just to update, we have updated our timelines till 8 p.m. in line with the requirement. So as of now, people can do both immediate allocation as well as end of day allocation till 8 p.m.
But how will the members know, Uzefa, the margin for that client till 8 p.m.? The MG13 won't be coming till then.
So there are two things to that, sir. We are anyway sending you the MG13 as per the peak margin snapshot latest till 3 o'clock, as well as the span margins file based on which the margins are computed is available around 4:30. And thirdly, I would like to say that the actual requirement is that you have to have the allocation first and then the margin should happen. So the idea is that you should have allocated the client money and then it should take care of the margin which will be coming. So it is not that you see the margin and then allocate.
No, Josefa, the couple of points on this. We agree that the requirement as per circular is to do this, but the circular also allows us to use across segments intraday, as you understand. And therefore, if I have to move from cash to future, so long as I have given a consolidated limit of say 100, which is the collateral of the client.
Virender, we could not. You got dropped. No, we could not hear you. Josefa, could you get his question?
No, so like intraday, it is available. End of day is so when the proposal we had discussed earlier also, it was only for intraday. So now the request has come that even for EOD, if there is an excess available in one segment to another, it has to be considered. So as of now, the framework does not permit. So that request has come, we will have to relook and check whether it can be exceeded and if it whether it will require any blessings from SEBI also.
Why
So that,
people are asking this, Josefa, is at morning I allocate something to cash and in the evening and during the day it takes in FNO. So the end of the day, the margin is in FNO, but I have allocated that money in cash. Now, are the members going to be penalized for this?
so that's why the time is available till end of day to allocate back, sir.
So there's a strong request from the community, Josefa, to do it. Is there any concern or you feel any manipulation?
No, concerns, there are no concerns.
So why we want to do
consider
on the same day and not on next day T+1
so
day?
that's the expectation is the allocation, because if you idea is that the margins EOD margin should be available at EOD, so that's why the allocation should have happened by EOD. So that's why it cannot happen next day, sir.
There are two challenges which the members are facing. Firstly, those who trade in the commodities at NSE have this issue that commodity market is open till 11:55. Now, if I'm trading at NSE commodity and my client has to move collateral from NSE F&O to NSE commodity, I cannot move to commodity till I deallocate from F&O. But there you will close at 8 p.m. I cannot deallocate and move. And I cannot predict which client will want to trade at 10 p.m.
Sir, so we have got this suggestion very recently right now. And like I said, sir, it is not available in the framework which was approved earlier. There is no concern. We will have to relook at it, and then, like I said, it may require SEBI's blessings to update it. So, like I said, that suggestion has come, and we will have to examine it. That, sir, of whether to allow one segment surplus to be used towards other segments margin requirement.
No.
Also.
So actually, there were two questions which were raised. The first question was, you had mentioned that the regulatory expectation is to do upfront allocation. We pointed out to you, supposing client has given 100 rupees and we allow the client to trade within 100 rupees across segments. In the evening, you expect us to allocate as per the utilization in the appropriate segment, which is fair. The only challenge which we have is we do not have the number from your end that what is the margin in that particular segment. And in absence of the same, we don't know what breakup of 100 rupees we need to move.
Hello, Virenderji, Vikram Kothari here. Sorry for joining in late. So, sir, span is anyway available by around 5 o'clock or 4:30, 5 o'clock for the computation. So technically, ideally, the upfront margin, and I can understand there can be a bit of variation, but the span anyway is available. Span file is available at about 5 o'clock to do that computation. Am I wrong in that?
No, you are not wrong, sir. But the span file itself has many problems. On expiry days, for example, we will have to factor in the net ledger credit of the customer in that segment. And the final files for the expiry posting comes at 10:30 on monthly expiry days.
Virendraji, this is something that is obviously the framework has been there since about March, right? CPI and me, we had extensive discussions around this, and the entire framework was discussed in detail and was agreed. Now, yes, a representation has come to us, which has come in fact, as late as this week, where these things are being brought up. And as Josefa said, this is something that is being, we are evaluating the suggestions out. At the moment, the framework which had been freezed was for an allocation to be completed at the UD. And certainly, I think Josefa would have briefed you that the time that we had prescribed of 6 o'clock, we have already relaxed it to 8 o'clock. We are also evaluating internally if any further relaxation that is possible without affecting subsequent downloads of files, etc., to members. That is also being evaluated at our end. But since the suggestion and request has just come in, and in fact, it has come in very late because this framework was available since and in public domain since February, March, actually, if you take a look at that.
We agree that, sir, but timelines were not mentioned in any of the circulars that the upload will be till 4 p.m. or 6 p.m. or 8 p.m. So for us, the natural default was, since NSE commodity trades till 11:55, there was a reasonable ground to believe that allocation would change till 11:55.
So again, as I said, we have received this request and we are evaluating. And obviously, as Josefa mentioned, this will require us to have a discussion with the regulator. Certainly, we'll be doing that as well as with other CCs. So we will come back to you on that.
So the
Vikram, what we
timeline,
are
I don't
facing
think if you need approval from the regulator, timeline is with the CC. I can understand if we are saying inter-segment adjustment, you need a regulatory confirmation.
But
But
timeline
timeline,
has its own dependencies, right, Virendraji? You would appreciate that timelines beyond a particular point of time is also going to delay all the end of day processings and reportings. There are dependencies which obviously we will have to evaluate because obviously we will be comfortable whatever time we can go to, but it will result in delays in a lot of end of day processing now on an ongoing basis rather than just on an occasional basis. So as we said, please, we've just received the representation. Let us evaluate that out. Whatever is best possible, we will consider. But I would also request that the span is available. You should also explore what can be done with that to compute whatever requirements are there within the team.
yeah, definitely we'll work with back office vendors also, or our risk tool vendors, to compute internally the margin obligation. Unfortunately, what happens is, always in this calculation, some rounding off, some issues arise, and therefore the accurate amount, if it gets missed out, becomes a challenge unnecessarily for no fault
For
of
us
the client.
also, let me assure you, we are also not going to be happy if there's any kind of penalty. Ideally, we would want complete compliance on this in line with what the regulatory expectations is. So certainly we will also work to see whatever can be done is the assurance that I can give you at this time, because these representations have come in only yesterday, day before, and we will also need time to evaluate, discuss. It's not going to be something. First August is just around the corner. It's the next weekend, in fact, 31st July. So you have to give us that time. Please appreciate this has been there, and a lot. It's not that we've not had calls in between. There have been n number of calls on this subject, but yes, it has just come to us a day. In fact, yesterday we received the letters. We are evaluating it. I can only assure you that our interest is in no way that the brokers are or the members are inconvenienced. We are trying our best, including having discussions with the regulator around this.
Okay, sir. Fine. Please carry on with the next question, sir.
Yeah. So, Josefa, one question has come. We may have the 20%, we know the volume of the client, whatever is the margin at the end of the, say, around 334, and if it's for selling, and the EPI has to be, and EPI is going to be done, there's no repledge, and the EPI will be done in the night, through the block mechanism. So how that money has to be allocated? If we don't allocate, it will come through the entire margin is going to be zero at the end of the day because of the EPI. So will the member be penalized for not allocating the money to the client for the shares sold?
No. So for EPI, it is very clear. When we do the end of day comparison, we will be doing after the EPI for the day has been done. So
no,
once
but does the member have to do anything in the allocation
No,
file?
nothing in allocation file. They have to ensure that the EPI has been successfully done by the cutoff time. So what will happen is the end of the margin for such EPI records will be zero, and then there will be no requirement for allocation.
There's one question: if there are two scripts, for one EPI is done and one it is not done, will the EPI done for one will take care of the margin of all, assuming it takes care?
No. So currently, when you do EPI, only margin of that security gets reduced. So for other security, if EPI is not done, then the allocation is required.
Allocation is required. Okay. So I don't know whether this falls into your domain, because today just people got a circular on the first of the Friday of every quarter. I believe you have to do quarterly settlement, and all the cash which is lying with the CC for which you allocated. Is there a way of retaining that money with the CC and not taking it back? Whether it falls in your domain, whether you can answer. Otherwise,
No, sir, I am not aware about it.
We will have to look at the circular, Nirav, because we also just came to know about that circular. So very honestly, we've not even looked at it.
No, the question is, Vikram, even without the circular, in the quarterly settlement, the money is lying with the CC for any potential trade which is going to happen, and it's lying with the CC. And I've allocated that money to the client in the daily file. And today,
We will
I
have to see whether we'll have to read the requirements of the circular, whether it allows for money to be retained with the CC, not to be settled, etc. But we have not even looked at it. Please, so just give us time on that.
No, Vikram, it is not about today's circular. It is a quarterly settlement if I have to do, and if the money is retained with the CC, it would mean calling back for that money, and then next day till the time it comes back for a future from my item. So whether it's
my assumption
so anyway, sir, this is not part of CCCI, and we'll have to check with exchange compliance on that, sir.
Yeah,
because it is part of the client settlement.
So, is there any penalty to broker for intersegment client shortfall allocation at EOD, though there is sufficient unused excess allocation amount in another segment at end of day? So you said it is, right? You are going to penalize.
Yeah, unless until we so like we said, the request has come. Yeah.
It will not take care on its own. I need to reshuffle the amount.
Yeah, Nirav, as we said, this is something that at the moment, as we stand, allocation has to be completed for EOD. But as we said, this is something that is in discussions as we've received a request around it. So hopefully we should have clarity in a couple of days.
What the concern of the members are, they don't know how the client is going to behave, and is the whole purpose is to ensure cash, the collateral is intact of the client, and is not the intention to extract, money through penalties. So that's
our intention also, Nirav, please believe us, is not that at all. And that is where, as I said, when Virenderji had also asked that question, we have received the representations yesterday, day before. We are evaluating, we are discussing with the regulators. At the end of it, that framework has been prescribed, and we are looking at it. So please, we will come back.
From the other CC has given that thing we won't be penalizing. I'm just sharing. I'm not telling.
We are in discussions with the other CC as well, Nirav, and we will be guided by whatever we have prescribed or our previous discussions with the regulator. We will work with the regulator to see, trying to see that it is not an inconvenience to anybody. We are evaluating internally as well, whatever is possible.
Okay. One of our client pledges shares with us, and onwards we have repledged to the clearing member. It is observed clearing member is considering 15% VAR on one stock, which is what NTPC is something. And however, as NSE VAR file is 10% VAR is given for NTPC same script. Consequently, upon the same, a difference of rupees some 783 is coming while reporting in client and segregation report for FNO towards submission to clearing member. So whether any penalty will be levied on the same. And they said they escalated this to the clearing member. Sorry, I'm not that familiar with this scenario, but is the difference between the VAR?
So I think for corporate, I think by the name of it, I'm assuming it is a corporate bond. For corporate bond, the haircut is flat 50%. Yeah. So it is a corporate bond. For corporate bond, the haircut is flat 15%, sir.
Okay. So our back office software vendor Tex Excel has made some files for the allocation, but neither them nor we are confident of the same. So they need a lot of time. Many members of Tech Excel, they said, and they need time to test this. Still today also they were telling it will take half an hour for the clear. There's some issue at the clearing corporation. If the 6 o'clock is going to be the time, and if half an hour is going to go in just rectifying certain situation at the clearing corporation, they will lose out on the window which closes, which now of course you have said 8 o'clock. But today also they say there are issues in the file uploads. Someone has
It
said,
looks
can
like
the
a more of a
MG
suggestion, sir.
Yeah, can the MG13 files be made available by 4 p.m.? So Vikram has said the last span margin approximate file is coming at 4:30. You can use that and do. Okay, one person is NCL is not giving.
Neeraj, on a related point,
Yeah.
the files which you are generating otherwise for margin computation, etc. Can we bring that number to as close a number or as frequent a number as possible, even intraday, so that members can start monitoring those that across segment, because funds are getting blocked intraday also. So the periodicity of the reports which the clearing corporation is generating, if you can bring it as frequent as possible, ideally we would not want it real time, but as close as possible would be very helpful.
Josefa, is that doable?
Again, so we are anyway sending four times snapshot, plus on NMAS the margins are available, and after market asked anyway what has comes is only EOD, sir. So, but anyway, suggestion noted. We'll check it out, sir.
Okay. Someone has put a query of MCX, which Virender has already said earlier. Okay, how to do after whatever the 6 o'clock, now 8 o'clock allocation. He cannot do upward, downward. So CC01 is not updated with T-day repledge stock. And that's what people have.
So currently we were accepting only pledges till 4 o'clock. 4 o'clock pledges updated. Any pledges happening after that were not getting updated. So that we are working on it. But then ideally, then all these reports we will have to be providing only late in the night. So we are just working on what best timeline we can provide and till what extent all shares which are repledged in the depository system can be accommodated in the allocation.
And what about the same CC01 file? They say EPI is also not reflecting in.
So that is for cash market that we have noted. So we have rectified that in the new reports which we have downloaded for short allocation. So short allocation is getting the correct margin numbers. So CC also we will rectify that. It was also again due to the CC reports coming before the EPI deadline was over.
Someone has said different CCs have different cutoff.
All these impacts when we are going to do, Nirav, just one point.
Yeah.
Whenever we are going to make these changes, right? People have to accept that if EPI is going to go on till 9 o'clock, these reports will come certainly after 9 o'clock. They will be generated after this time. So if we are going to make these changes and the brokers don't want allocations to be done by them, in the sense that they cannot do allocations and adjustments on their own, they have to be prepared for the reports coming in pretty late into the night. And that is something that they will have to be ready with.
Okay. And someone has written different CCs have different cutoff time for funds allocation. How systems should run to identify the short allocation, and also how to manage funds allocation where client trades under custom commodity. Okay, that has been answered. Okay, one person has asked, NCL is not giving credit for repledge in shares of Reliance, ITC, Vedanta. In NMAS, it is showing an eligible quantity, but in SEC pledge file quantity is shown, but value is 0. And all stocks are without limits. What could be the reason for that?
So we have got it. I think the limits are getting properly that. I think there must be some other issue. We have got that one specific error as reported. We are looking into it.
So Josefa, to explain because the member had raised this query. See, what has happened is your margin system earlier used to have that group 1, group 2, group 3, and you accordingly used to have a VAR. And now perhaps you are looking at it from a client level that more than 25% of the stock of the client or at the member level is not there. So this mismatch is leading to the SEC file not showing the same values as what pledge benefit the CC is giving.
Yeah, so the in the reports which we are giving, where we are giving client level allocations and client level non-cash value, it is showing correctly. At one place we found that because of those the new norms which we have put, it is there. So that we are looking into it. Sir. It is only the information display which is a problem, but otherwise the calculations are very much correct, sir.
Okay, so fine.
Prasad, I am not getting to see any of the questions they've raised. I've just got what we got in advance on the chat window. Okay, I've got one. Pre-market allocation of client margin and pro margin should not be segment-wise for the purpose of RRM mode. If any client is short, then his balance should be taken from other segment, and if not available, then from own funds for that segment. And if the funds are exhausted, then own funds from other segments. So this is also was part of the representation made. I understand it's a issue, but any response to this?
No, we have also seen that. That change is not possible intraday. So broker collaterals are going to get used. Josefa, am I correct on that?
Using client collaterals across segments, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that is not.
Yeah, that is having like a common pool. So that as of now it is not there.
Yeah.
If client collaterals are not there, the prop collateral will be used.
Okay, there's one question. Pledge share value after haircut is 10 lakhs. There is no cash collateral. Soda done and margin used 8 lakhs. How much pro fund will be used in this, or is there any penalty? Josefa, there's a specific example asked.
Yeah.
The repledge shares after haircut is 10 lakhs. There is no cash collateral of the client, and Soda is done and margin used is 8 lakhs. So how much pro fund will be used here? It will be used. Sorry.
So 50, if there is no non-cash, if there is no cash at client level, 50% will be used from the this
prop. Pro fund. Okay. Then there is pledge share value after haircut is 10 lakhs. There is no cash collateral. So other than margin used is 12 lakhs by opening some ad hoc limits. So here how much pro fund will be used? 6 lakhs, right?
No, sir, it will be more than that now because only 50%, so 5 plus 7 it will be. Because it is more, so the 2 lakhs also will get used, no? The additional which is beyond the non-cash.
Yeah, so margin required was 12 lakhs, but the pledge value was only 10 lakhs.
So here, so
5 lakhs. How much of my pro fund will be used here?
6 lakhs.
6 lakhs, no? Okay. And will be any penalty because he has given some extra limit?
Yeah,
there?
2 lakhs for 2 lakhs, there will be a shortfall. Because 12 lakhs is the margin requirement, 10 lakhs is the margin allocated, collateral allocated, so 2 lakhs is shortfall.
Okay. So there is no non-cash, no cash and non-cash collateral. Client does trade for margin 5 lakhs. Check given at 4 p.m. post trade. What is pro fund used? I think entire 5 lakhs, right?
Neeraj, Rajiv ji had a question. He's on the panel. Can he take up his question whenever you find it convenient?
I don't see anything here, Virender. I only could see one question about this.
Rajiv is on the panel.
Rajiv ji is on the panel and he's raising his hands.
So, Virender ji, you can take it. You can take it.
You can unmute.
So can I raise a question, sir?
Please go ahead, Rajiv.
Go ahead, Rajiv. Vikramji, to answer your question that the framework was in place since April, you are absolutely right. But in the fitness of things, we always understood that the allocation file had to be uploaded next day, and it was going very smoothly. It's only on 21st and or 22nd of July that we got those short allocation penalty files. Only then we realized that it had to be done before 6 o'clock. Only then we tried to raise those representations. So those representations were actually following your short allocation penalty files. Number one. Number two, regarding this repledge of shares, so on NMAS, there's a repledge detail that you give, which shows the eligible quantity individual client, but we don't get the value of the repledge that you are going to consider for available margins. Is it possible for you to give us, because that sec pledge file that comes on FTP, that is computed as per the old formula which has been changed. So I guess that the actual value of the repledge is required so that we can calculate the
allocation that needs to be there. So in case in that NMAS file, if you could populate it with the price file, or we can use a T-1 price, so whatever you can do easily.
Mustafa, you want to take that?
So on the data part, sir, the short allocation report we started giving as a cursory because the framework was already in place. The calculations were already been informed in March itself, sir. On the other part of the securities, yeah, we are not giving any intraday information that we had taken as feedback immediately after the implementation in May, and we had said that we are working on it. So we are that work is still on. Once it happens on an intraday basis, also we will give you the information on the value of collaterals allocated as well as value of non-cash available at a client level.
No, so the problem is that at 4 o'clock, suppose at 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock, I need to know what is the margin of replay, the value of repledge. Now, in order to make the proper file, now how do I do this? Unless and until I get the value of repledge that is accepted by the CC, because suppose we are repledging 10,000 shares and you say the eligible quantity is only 2,000, or at times you don't even give a credit. In that case, the funds have to be allocated from the prop account. In case you are not accepting those shares, or though they are not eligible because of market-wide limit going off. So we need to know the value of repledge that the CC is considering. Otherwise, if you don't give us, how do I prepare the allocation file, sir?
So noted, sir. We are working on that, sir.
And only 3 days are left, sir.
Neeraj ji, you can go ahead.
Just one thing, Rajiv ji. This is a problem. This is a point that you pointed out today. In fact, none of our previous discussions this has come up. So can I ask, maybe others, they may be doing it in some manner, right?
No, sir. Sir, actually, people are not even aware, and I've been giving this message to Ms. Rana Usman since last 3 days that there's a
Only 3 days.
there's a mismatch. Yeah, once I came to know about that, the entire problem was discovered only once we received those short allocation files, and we went deep into it that what is happening.
Okay, so let's take a look at
Otherwise, we were very comfortable
Okay,
doing
okay,
everything
Rajiv
by
ji,
allocation.
Rajiv ji, let's take a look at it. Obviously, it's not going to be something that we'll be able to prepare since you've just raised it. We've noted it down, but let's just take a look at it. But there has to be some way it has to be done. Let's find out a way to do it.
Yeah, the only way I could understand, sir, that I can take down that eligible quantity file
and you can apply the value to it
and
then
apply the value to it and try to arrive, but I'm not really sure whether CC, what I am doing is correct or not, and whether CC is following the same way. That is the only concern.
Prices and all the formula is very well known.
No,
So
price
maybe,
is okay. I'm just worried about the quantity that I'm taking, sir.
so we can just evaluate that once more and we can come back to you. But since you raised it, we are certainly noting it out and we will just see if there's something possible.
Thank you, sir.
Prasad, I am not able to see anyone's question. In the chat group. I have finished all the questions which were more or less common.
Virender ji, you have set of questions with you. You can raise few of them.
There's nothing coming on the chat.
No, so we have got some questions on YouTube, so I'll just take up the
Yeah,
questions.
I'm talking on
via
YouTube. Yeah,
YouTube.
please.
I'll take those up. No problem.
Yeah, Virender, please.
Okay. So, I mean, the most common question is, that because if files are delayed and we have commodity wise, so we need either a single segment, across segments view, which is not possible because of legal reasons. But everybody is requesting that, we should allow till commodities trading is available, we should allow the pledge, the margin allocation to happen, which already NCL team, they look into what they can do, and they will come back with that. While EPI you are picking till 9 p.m. Till what time will the securities pledged be also accounted for?
Josefa, for securities pledge, we are looking at.
So that we had told, no, sir, we have that we will
Josefa?
try. Sir, we will try and check it up till 8 o'clock. Whatever is security is getting pledged, we will include it in the short allocation consideration.
Okay, Josefa, there is one question. In the NMAS funds are showing free for allocation in fungible, but file is getting rejected for error of higher utilization. So what could be the reason for this?
High utilization generally happens when people are doing downward allocation, where if they are trying to allocate amount more than the margin.
No. Here the queries it is for upward.
So upward you will generally get as funds not available, sufficient funds not available. But that happens if the format. So instead, if you are trying to increase the allocation, but you are putting D as a downward flag, or if you are trying to do downward, but you are putting upward flag, then such type of error happens. Sir.
So, today also the member is writing they had sufficient 100 crores free in fungible. It is not allowing for upward. So how do we resolve such query?
No,
They can send us and specific queries. They can send us a mail. We will check it out.
A member specific, you can just let us know and we will take a look at it.
And secondly, files uploaded by 5:30 p.m. The response is not coming till 8 p.m. So will that improve post first or right?
That will improve. We are working on that. So that will improve significantly. That's primarily in the cash market. I don't think that's there in F&O, but
okay. Yeah, in cash market only, yeah.
So one of the questions which has come is in F&O, the mark-to-market loss is collectible on a T+2 basis. But intraday, if the client has first given say 100 rupees, taken a position in F&O, there is a mark-to-market loss. Next day morning, you will not let us deallocate, though the mark-to-market loss can be collected by T+2. And therefore, people are not able to allow that client to trade in the other segment. Josefa, can you revert?
Yeah, so there is no requirement to it is only the minimum upfront margin. So only span ELM is what we will check for allocation, sir, not the mark to market.
Okay. So most of the other questions which have come on YouTube have either been answered or are suggestions rather than questions.
Bolo, sir.
Thanks, Virendraji. I think, as I said earlier, I think receive the representations, and let's just look at them. We are evaluating internally what has to be done,
Backdrop बनी रहा है ना
and we will discuss with the other CCs as well as
backdrop
regulators
proper
to
backdrop
just see that we find the
backdrop
apt
password
solution to the
लोग
members. Again, if I can say that both.
Money, shawarma.
Kamlesh ji, can you mute yourself, please? Kamlesh ji, you are on.
Sorry.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
So we are evaluating at our end. We'll discuss with other CCs. We'll assure you that we'll also keep the regulators informed. We will have a discussion with them to see whatever is the best feasible solution. Again, I would like to state, it is in no way the intent of the clearing corp. We are partners in all these regulatory requirements that come out, Virendraji. Our intent in no way, we are not happy having these penalties being levied at all. I've made that statement. We continue to talk to the regulators around it, which we will continue. Hopefully, I think we will arrive at some good solution. But I would still request, please, 1st August was a timeline which was prescribed, and we started giving out the short allocation files just to get the members also updated as to how they are looking at. They have to push their vendors. The vendors have to be pushed. We still have 3-4 days left. We are also pushing our internal teams to whatever is possible to make sure that it is a seamless experience. But we will have to finally live by the rule of the law, which we are trying our best. But just give us some time. Let's see, hopefully some positive outcome for the members.
Vikramji, we fully trust. In the past also, we know you have worked so much at the back end which cannot be disclosed, but you have made all efforts possible which were within your domain. And even whatever we are represented to you, we have been taking up with the regulator also. Yesterday also we went
Yesterday
and
we were there.
we highlighted those issues. And if the CCs also support that stand, I'm sure we are not asking for anything beyond what the client has given to be allowing him to trade. We are only seeking comfort in terms of the compliance and the methods of compliance.
Yeah, and the only problem, Virendraji, is that the method of compliance that has been requested has come just a day before, and if you will have to understand that it is if it has to be done, it's an immense amount of change in the models that have already been drawn up, plus regulatory consensus around it. So we have to look at it from both the perspective. Again, as I said, we have received the representations. We are looking at it positively, evaluating internally also what is possible, what is not. But you'll just have to give us a couple of days for us to try whatever we can.
We trust you will do the best possible in the case.
A few members actually backtested their data and then found they will definitely go into RRM mode, considering it for a specific segment and not overall. That is why the request has come. It should be done.
So I think
so one more question has come.
Nirav, you will appreciate that this is, I think, one of the first time that the entire circulars and the guidelines have come with examples on it as to how it has to work, which were given out in February, March. I don't remember or recall any such detailed circulars with examples, computations, etc., ever being there. So actually, while yes, the provisional files have come in now, but I think it was a very, very laid out circular out there. And it's been
but the
6
provisional
months.
file
In fact, we have
started
been
coming.
discussing this for 6
I
months
think
now.
only a week back. The essay file started coming only a week back. So people don't have much time. So people have been requesting please extend the waiving of penalties, so more testing and more different scenarios can be tested. So penalty is not the ultimate objective, and the other objective is getting fulfilled. So people have requested. And of course, it has gone in admin representation also. Please allow a 1 month more window to continue without the penalty provisions coming into effect.
I'm sure.
So one more question, Huzefa. This is, if a client has sold the delivery stock for 2 lakh and shares were given for early pay-in immediately, after 20% peak margin haircut, client will get 1,60,000 EPI. For this 1,60,000 amount, client will buy the stock. In this case, how to allocate this early pay-in benefit amount to the client?
So 1,60,000 is a credit given by the member to the client, and accordingly will have to be allocated because it's a credit entry which you pass in a ledger. So accordingly, it has to be allocated at the CC end.
Okay. So in the SA01 file, we were informed that the client was not allocated the fund in spite of the shares have been given for early pay-in. and also
Yes.
shown the margin record amount related by transaction, but not
Yes,
on
because we
transaction.
will not be giving auto credits for any API, sir, which the members are giving to client. So the credit against sale is permitted only between members and client, not between CC and members. So if you need to give that credit to the clients, the member will have to actually allocate the collateral to that client for that credit.
Okay. So
So
one
Vikramji,
again, people
once again,
a lot of R&D is required. Yeah, Virender, sorry.
Vikramji, lest you say that we are not waking up in time, I will bring in three principal issues, whether you do it now or next month or the subsequent month. You see, the regulatory mandate behind this circular is the collateral of the customer, which is visible to CC. The customer is able to trade within those framework.
Point taken, Virendraji. I would just like to again state out one principle. I know where you're going, but I will also like to state out one principle. This framework was destined to go live on 2nd of May, as per the regulatory guidelines, without any exemptions. Credit to NME, CPI, and BBF. We got together January, February. We had a lot of deliberations where you came up with certain requirements and you said we need a leeway of 3 months without penalties, and plus with end of day another 6 months intraday to be exempt, right? Let's also give credit to the regulator that when we represented, the date was supposed to go live on 2nd, and when the associations along with us, we represented to the regulator was gracious enough not to cut out even 1 month out of the framework. And it is in January, February itself, we knew that it was EOD allocation, which is going to go live on 2nd of May. We got the 3 months and the 6 months, which we actually ourselves, we went and represented along with you to the regulators, right? So I think we have to also appreciate the regulator in this, being very patient. I've never seen the regulator having agreed or given these kind of leeways on something that was actually supposed to go live on 2nd of May. Sorry, but this is a fact, right? And this is what was given to get everybody ready. So I don't know whether it is right. While we will make all efforts, again, please, it's an assurance. We are making all efforts. Just to be transparent with you, we've been in with the regulator for the whole day now, almost, on some of these topics. So this is a discussion that is happening. But we'll have to just wait and see. Sorry,
No,
Virendra.
Vikramji, I agree. You know, I mean, we are fully with the regulator, and they've given a lot of relief. Only thing, you know, matter is evolving, and
Yeah.
the real action starts when the penalty kicks in. So now, you know, at the last moment, certain things have come up. So
So
I
we
mean,
are
and you know, this is very
totally recognized.
comprehensive.
Totally recognized. We are. That's why we are into that
So
discussion.
sometime, you know, I mean, not any kind of relaxation. We will keep on
Yeah.
reporting
So
everything.
we are working on that.
I think
We are trying to work
penalty
on that,
could
Kamlesh
be
bhai.
frozen
Kamlesh
for
bhai,
1 month, or
Kamlesh
it
bhai, we are
cannot be
trying to
levied.
work on that. We are
Right,
trying to
sir.
work
Right,
on
sir.
that.
That's it.
And
Nothing more
but
than
no
that.
assurances. We are trying to work on that. Let's just hope for the best.
I understand,
Vikram,
sir.
a lot of R&D is happening. So many questions. As I said, the basics were not also clear to many people, which I started in the beginning of the session only. Instead of having so many examples and all those things, thanks to your team who has clarified a lot today. But people still need some time to streamline the systems. One major software vendor itself is not ready, and he's got multiple installation. It will be put to great disadvantage all those members, you know, if time is not granted. So frankly, yes, we got a 3 month extension, but none of the systems were ready at the vendors end at all ends. So it is good that the regulator gave that time limit. But people are asking for 1 more month. I believe I mean, everyone will take cognizance of it and um, accept that.
Point taken, Nira. Point absolutely taken.
Okay, thank you. Thank you all the
Neeraj,
NCA team, the CPI team.
Sabarwalji is there to
Yeah, and I would now
conclude.
like to invite Sabarwalji to have a vote of thanks and address everyone. Sabarwalji?
Sabarwal ji, आप mute हैं. Please unmute yourself.
Yeah, you are mute. You are on mute. Yeah.
On behalf of the NME and CPAI, we are thankful to Vikram Kothari ji and his team. First, thanks to the President NME, Mr. Kamlesh Shah, the President CPI, Mr. Narendra Badwa, for giving the initial remarks. Special thanks to Mr. Neerav Gandhi, Mr. Virendra Mansukhani, and Raghvendra ji for compiling the questions. And we have on the NME YouTube channel and CPI YouTube channel, I found that more than 500 people were there, both combined about 10 minutes back. So thanks to each of you. We are sure that most of the queries raised by members, either at the NME portal or the CPI portal, is replied. And we assure you to all the members that even in the days to come, we will be doing more events jointly between the NME and the CPAI. Thanks to Vikram Kothari ji and Hofeza ji especially, that as usual, last month also 5 times they came with us. And as usual, they give us good time. So thanks to everyone. And we will be meeting day after tomorrow. Members, we are again requesting to meet us at 9:30 a.m. at the Gift City for the our convention of NME and CPI tomorrow, day after tomorrow at Gift City at 9:30 a.m.
Thank you, Sabarwal ji.
Thank you very much, Sabarwal ji, NME and
everyone.
CPI.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Wadhwa ji and Kamlesh bhai.
Thanks to Ashok ji also, who was there.
Yeah, thank
Chief
you,
Mentor
Ashok.
CPI.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So we are meeting at 9:30 day after. अरे अच्छा हुआ तूने क्या किया, वो तो सबरवाल जी बोले ना, मुझे लग रहा था मुझको लग रहा था इतनी जल्दी खत्म हो जाएगा मुझे नहीं पता।